Sally, let's start with you. Is it wrong to tell your children that they're beautiful?
No, of course not. It's ridiculous to suggest that it is. I think looks are part of our society. You can't get away from them. And, you know, I've got two beautiful children. I would never ignore the elephant in the room, which is how they look. However, that shouldn't be the main way that you praise them.
Judy, I know that you have children. How many do you have?
I have three
daughters.
I
so
do, yes.
Do you tell them that they're beautiful?
Well, I tell them all sorts of things because I think what this is really about is the power of the parent's voice to influence how children feel about themselves, both in childhood, but also going all the way through. As someone who works with parents all the time, it breaks my heart that lots of parents are still feeling so trapped by a label like "you are beautiful" that comes from the all-powerful parent that they were given as a child. And these are adults who are going around thinking, but I'm more than that. I'm so many other things. And these one-word labels stick and they can affect us for the rest of our lives.
And I suppose Sally, Jo Swinson is trying to make a wider point here, that you should praise your child for achieving something, finishing a good book, rather than just the way that they look. Because that's the problem with our society. A lot of people would say we're looks obsessed.
The emphasis should be on the process, praising the process that the child goes through rather than the person. So you say, you know, you've made a really good effort on your homework rather than saying you're smart. However, I think what we're talking, if you tell a child they're beautiful, you're doing one thing, but the way you lead by example is far more significant, I think. And to focus on what you're saying and, oh, my mother never told me I was beautiful. Well, if she sat at home obsessing about her own weight, that's actually going to be much more influential on you, I think, than what she said to you.
Yeah, that's something that Jo Swinson does point out. Judy, we've got lots of good texts on this, lots of people actually disagreeing with this, saying it's ridiculous. If you can't praise your children, then who can? And also Marco Green tweeting in today to say, I think kids are more influenced by what their friends think of them and looking at their favourite pop stars and what their parents think. It's the media that's to blame, isn't it, rather than parents saying, you look beautiful or you don't?
Well, we're parents for life, and at certain stages, you know, you are very influenced by your friends, clearly. But I think, if I can say this, mothers, we do have a big role as role models to our daughters, but we also need to talk up what we admire in our sons as well. But it's going back to this thing that it is so influential as to what we say to our children and what they believe about themselves. And we are, as Sally says, you know, there's a lot out there. It is the elephant in the room about the obsession with how we look. But it is really important to talk clearly and warmly to your children about so many things that they're doing well and not use these one-word labels, but to just encourage our children and to praise them specifically is what this is really all about. Of course, we need to talk them up. We need to help them grow up to be strong and powerful and to feel really good about themselves.
Is it right for an MP to tell us how to bring up our children, especially when the MP hasn't had a family yet themselves? What do you think, Sally?
I think whether she has a child or not is irrelevant because we've elected her to represent lots of different people and different ideas. However, no, to tell people not to praise their children is ridiculous. But again, I think we're talking about words here, which is a bit silly. I think our actions are far more important. If you're worried about what the media is doing about how women look, then talk to your children about that and get them to become activists about that.
OK, so not being a nanny state here, advice to parents who are watching tonight, how should they approach the issue of looks and body image with children, just very briefly?
I think it is about having good, honest conversations. It's about being a really strong role model to your sons and your daughters about what you're interested in and what you value and living that out in a way that's congruent.
OK, Judy and Sally, thank you very much for joining me tonight.